G'day, thanks for joining me on Balance the Grind. I'm so excited to have Nicole Montefort here with me. We're doing a course today. We're filming a course, Stress Less for Success. So I'm going to ask you some questions to do with our course, because we obviously want all of our audience to be thinking about joining our course on Balance the Grind, our first course that we're doing with you, Nick. So why did you put this course together? Why does it need to exist?
I put it together because it saved my life at a time where I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills, how I was going to get the kids through school, whether I had the ability to put food on the table. They actually put me one foot in front of the other so I could get through that. Looking around at what's happening in the world at the moment is scary and it's sad, and I think we've got a tsunami coming of physical and mental health issues post-pandemic. We were already there before the pandemic. So if I can help anyone out there in the world at the moment who is feeling like they just don't know how to get through the next hour of their day by them introducing one of these techniques, then I actually feel like I've made a difference. And I think that even if you're not stressed, these techniques can be used when you know that stressful situations might be coming up. So they actually can help anyone. Kids going through exams, parents saying goodbye to kids who are leaving home, like just life situations, before you go into a board meeting, before you have a performance counselling meeting with an employee, before a job interview. These are techniques that can be used before and also during those really hard times of life. And I think everybody, even if they just take one and put it in their back pocket and pull it out whenever they need it and make a difference to them being able to focus and find a moment of balance and calm, then I think that it's definitely worth, investing the time and the energy in doing.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about the science behind the technique? So I'm thinking about the nerds in our audience. I'm a nerd, and I always like to know, what's the proof? What's actually gone behind this?
So it's really funny. It's only just becoming a really focused area of science. Although it's been there for a long time, it's only really coming to the forefront now. We know that we're physical beings. We know that the hormones that get released and the neurochemicals that get released in our body when we're under pressure actually can't operate at the same time as endorphins. So they can't work at the same time. So we know that if you can release the ones that make you feel good, that the bad ones can't stay there. It's scientifically proven. So we also know scientifically what you can do to release the good ones. We know where they come from in your brain when you are having a stressful response. So the science is there to show you that this physical being that we've got is the most powerful tool we have to overcome some of the biggest reactions and stress in our life. And what people are not doing is they're not using it. They're not looking at it. Well, we're starting to shift in that direction now. We've become, if you think about going back into very, very long time ago, all we did was we're physical beings. So this wasn't a problem because we moved all the time. Yeah. Okay, we don't move anymore. That's why it's become a problem. You think about even my parents, are in their 70s now. Back when they were, kids, they never got on a bus. They never, sat in front of a television. Everything was movement. So they didn't have the same issues because they were actually moving their body and so didn't even notice that the stresses were there. Yeah. We've become a sedentary population. We've had a huge amount go on in the world in the last 2 years, and there's still more to come. And all of that is impacting why we've got such high stress levels now. And all we need to do is understand that simple things that this physical body does can make the difference between whether you feel like you're not going to cope or whether you do cope.
What do you think will be some of the key outcomes for participants who are going through this training today or online with us at home?
I think what will come out of it is, firstly, they'll get an understanding of what actually happens and the stress cycle. I don't think anybody there's not that many people that know that if you complete the stress cycle, that about 40, that your body completely calms down and it feels like it's back in a peaceful, balanced state again. So I think that they're going to understand a little bit more about what that sort of stress cycle is. They'll understand the nerdy chemical stuff that goes on. So there'll be a little bit in there that will make them actually start to attach the feeling to what it is. is. So they'll be able to connect the dots before it happens. So it'll bring in a bit of self-awareness. We'll be able to educate them on the cues that come up so that they can catch it in advance. And more importantly, they'll be able to have a toolkit that they can pull out of their back pocket through any of those situations that cause them to feel stressed and uncomfortable.
Sounds pretty good to me. And how can people watching this get started now? So, I guess like from my end, we'll have this set up so it's really easy for people to access and sign up. But in terms of, I guess one thing that I find is when I'm, thinking about starting something and I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, this sounds good, I sometimes don't take action. So more from that perspective, like, is it better for people to go away, think about it, or take action now? How do you kind of approach those kind of decisions?
That's a really good question. And I think it comes back to where you're at in your life and how bad it is. Mm-hmm. Some people are in such a bad place that they'll do whatever you tell them to do to help them. And then others aren't quite there yet, so they think they're okay. Or many people don't even know that that's where they're at. Mm. So for me, it's about taking initiative and making a commitment to yourself to do one thing a day, just one thing a day, and pick a time of your day where you've got something that you really want to do it before that. So habit stack it, so it's like a reward. Cup of coffee in the morning. Before you have your coffee in the morning, do 10 squats. That's it. And get the body moving. That sort of stuff. Before you take the kids to school, go out the back and bounce the ball because you know that car ride going to school in the traffic is going to stress you out. So it's about attaching it to an activity, attaching something that you can do before an activity so that you catch yourself in advance of the activity, or you get your reward after you've done it. So bringing the dopamine reward centres in play. So attaching the movement to a reward or the activity to a reward was the way in which I did it. If I knew that I had I was under enormous pressure and I had to get the kids to school, then I knew that I had to do something so that I didn't lose my temper in the car over nothing, that sort of stuff. If I wanted to have my cup of coffee in the morning, I knew that I had to get up and do 10 squats and 10 push-ups before I had my cup of coffee. And it was then the coffee was tasted even better because I'd done it. So it's finding where you can attach it into your life where it's going to make a difference. The minute you start doing that, you'll see and feel different. You won't stop doing it because it fundamentally changes how you feel and the outcome. So that's kind of a bit of an approach that I took that worked really well.
It just made me think as well, I guess when you mentioned that thing about making sure you didn't lose your temper with your kids, if parents can get across this, in workplaces, wherever it is, there's lots of different contexts this applies for, but it just made me think there's such a trickle-on effect that then has to other people who are also stressed, right?
Well, we're all energy, right? We're all connected energetically. So if you think about a scenario where you've been in a situation with somebody who's super stressed out, you can't not feel that. It's impossible. So the more calm we can make ourselves in those situations. You're going in to pitch your startup. You've got 5 investors sitting in front of you. What do you want to do? Do you want to walk in strung out, nervous, or do you want to give yourself 2 minutes before you walk in, do one of the hacks or the techniques, calm your nervous system down and then walk in? What are they going to see the difference? It's fundamentally different. It's like walking in the house after a busy day or a stressful day, or when the whole world's fallen apart in your day and you have to walk in the front door. Aren't you better off to walk in the front door 2 minutes later in a calmer state so that it doesn't impact anyone else that's in the house and that you bring a bit of peace and calmness into the house, as opposed to what happens? Walk in the front door, rah, 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 and it causes everybody else to respond. So you can use it everywhere, at work, at home, with friends, in a random environment. All of these techniques can be used everywhere. Go and follow what the really successful people do. They all have something that they do before they engage in anything that they do in their work or family life. And it's absolutely crucial. And if you can change yourself, then you'll change the people around you. For things to change, first I must change. So that's where it all begins. What can I do so that I don't affect anyone else around me with my stress, because they don't deserve it and they don't need it.
I love that. Well, Nick, thank you so much
problem.
for sitting down with me. Thank you for listening. And I just want to know, like, for you, from your end, for people at home who are sitting there going, all right, okay, I think I want to do this. And if you do want to do this, we'll have I don't know exactly what page is going to be sitting on, but there will be a button, there'll be text, you'll know what to do next. But, from your end, is there anything else you want to say to people?
I just think, we're living in really trying times, and it's not over. Just because the pandemic's over doesn't mean that we're not going to keep going through issues. And stresses are a natural part of life. So if you guys want to know how to help you be better humans in your everyday life, whether at work, at home, or anywhere else, then just jump in to the course, because I promise you the techniques and strategies that are in there are simple, they are fun, and they're games that everyone can play, and they really do make a difference. They saved my life, and I know that they can help you. So jump in and give it a shot.
Yeah, and also if you want to find out what other people think about this, we'll have some testimonials for you as well, so you don't just have to take our word for it.
Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks so much.